All right, UFC 300. I'm really just at this point just not interested in Allen versus Chris Curtis. I'm recording this um the week before, or I guess a few days before this fight card happens. I'll watch it, obviously, but I really just don't care about these shitty cards. And I swear to God, if this fight ends in like a boring decision or something, I'm just gonna just tie a noose. Anyways, moving on to UFC 300. So, finally a card I care about. This card is absolutely stacked. I don't think I need to tell you that. I think everyone knows that this card is absurdly stacked. It's stacked so far to the point that, maybe other cards are suffering, but I don't think that's an excuse we should give the UFC. UFC should just pump out bangers. Anyways. So, moving right into it, I'm just going to go through my predictions and everything. So, Davison Figueiredo against Cody Garbrandt. I'm going to be rooting for Cody Garbrandt for sure, 100%. Um, Big issue though, Cody Garbrandt does not have a good chin. A lot of people are obviously aware of that. Um, I believe this fight is also Cody Garbrandt's like a heavy underdog. I if you're a gambler, do not bet this fight. And I would say just let this fight play out how it plays out. I think this is gonna be one of those weird situations where it just goes to decision. Where hmm, I think Cody gets it by decision only because Figueiredo recently he's been moving like Joe Pyfer, where he'll throw like a 1-2 or like a 1 and a 2, like a hook, and he'll just wait for you to get knocked out. Um yeah, he wobbled Rob Font, but like in his last fight against Rob Font, it was kind of just he wobbled Rob Font like 5 times consecutively, but he never went in to finish the fight. And I know Cody Garbrandt, oh man, this is the thing. Like, does Rob Font have just a terrible chin like Cody Garbrandt? I don't think so. I don't think so. So I'm gonna lean towards Cody Garbrandt by decision. Um, I wouldn't bet this fight if you're a gambler at all. But I think Cody Garbrandt gets it done by decision. Um, I think a 29-28 Figueiredo will probably drop Cody at one point, but I think Cody's getting quicker with like his reactions because I think before it's like when he get knocked down he's like, "Oh, I'm fucked." Where now I think if he got knocked down it's like, "Okay, I know how to recover." Um, maybe dive for a leg or something like Dagestanis do. That seems to work out really well like for Umar. But anyways, so yeah, I think Cody gets it done. I think it's gonna be a weird decision. I just don't think Figueiredo is gonna be that active. I think he's gonna be not slower than Cody. Well, he's gonna be slower than Cody in terms of like the hands, but he doesn't kick as often as I would like. Maybe this changes in the Cody Garbrandt fight, but in his last fights, I don't see the um one hitter quitter bantamweight Davison Figueiredo. I think he's gonna be landing strikes, expecting a knockout, and Cody's just gonna be doing too much. But I do think 1 or 2 rounds he's gonna drop Cody, so I think uh I think a 29-28 Cody Garbrandt is pretty fair. And then we have Bobby Green versus Jim Miller. Really excited for this fight as well. Man, oh, I can't wait. I can't wait for this fucking card. I'll be honest. This card is gonna be like heroin to my veins. Bobby Green I really like, but I think even though Bobby Green is 37, Jim Miller's 40, Jim Miller's outside the rankings and everything, I just don't think you can bet Bobby Green because of that late stoppage that happened with Jalen Turner. That could be Bobby Green just never being the same ever again. Um, but I do like Bobby Green. I think if you're not worried about him having brain damage from his last fight, I think Bobby Green's pretty safe. Jim Miller is really good, and he'll always fight for a finish. But I think where Bobby Green is going to catch Jim Miller is that even though Bobby Green's 37, he's coming off a knockout loss, he does this weird thing where against a bunch of up and comers, like let me see if I can pull it up real quick. Against a bunch of people, he'll just land a 1-2, and his 1-2 come from God himself, apparently. You know? I think it was this Ally Quinta, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think it was Ally Quinta, where it was just a 1-2, like, it just knocked his ass out. A simple 1-2. And then it happened with Grant Dawson as well. And Grant Dawson, before the fight with Bobby Green, Grant Dawson was like the up and comer. He was like a minus 800 or something in this fight. Bobby Green was like plus 550. Insane odds. Like Grant Dawson showed he was gritty and everything, but he literally got dropped by a 2, you know? And maybe it was just a perfect situation with a 2, but he showcased he can do it again. You know? I'm pretty sure it was Ally Quinta. I might be wrong. No, there's way too many. Yeah, it was definitely Ally Quinta. Where it was just a clean 1-2 sits him down, you know? And I think obviously it's like, you know, you have Tony Ferguson, he's able to eat it. Which he eye poked Tony Ferguson, so he's not. That's another thing. Bobby Green's not afraid to like get a little cheat shot, and we've seen with the last few events, man, you can just cheat, you know, just be like Chris Weidman, eye poke everyone, and you win, you know. Maybe I'll make my heavyweight run, and I'll just run into the UFC and start eye poking, and being like, well, you can see right there, you know, I landed the tip of my knuckle. I must just have nukes in my hands. But anyways, moving on. Um, Yeah, I think Bobby Green is just a solid fighter. If you're not worried about the brain damage from his last fight, I think Bobby Green is just the way to go, you know? You kind of just have to go with Bobby Green. Um as an objective, this fighter is better than this fighter. Uh but Jim Miller is gritty. He will always fight for a submission. He's always live. He's never going to give up. But I do think this fight's going to end in a finish, and I think it's going to be a wicked finish by either one of them. But I'm leaning on the Bobby Green side. You know, personally, I think he just gets it done. Um, and I do think he's just a better fighter. Jim Miller, he's looked really really good, but let's not forget Jim Miller has been fighting outside the rankings for a little bit now, so he's been fighting low level competition. Bobby Green's been around. You know, I love Jim Miller. I love Bobby Green. Um, I'm no longer betting on fights, so I am not gonna have money on any of these fights. But yeah, I think Bobby Green will get it done, and I can't wait. And then we have a shit break, and then moving on, we have Jalen Turner versus Hanato Moicano. So Hanato Moicano, when this fight got announced, I got really really worried, but that's mainly because I was getting PTSD from watching Bobby Green get his lights put out, uh, 18 times in the matter of 10 seconds. But I've had a lot more time to think about it. I do think I think Moicano is gonna win in third round submission or decision, and the reason why is because I don't think Dober I don't think Dober has less power than Jalen Turner. You know what I mean? I think he has the most lightweight knockouts. And to be fair, he's knocked out not great opponents, just being honest. Um, in recent history, I guess. Like, let's just pull it up real quick. That's the pound for pound list. He's definitely not there. Um, where is it? Yeah, yeah. He knocked out Frivola. So, or no, yeah, Frivola knocked him out. Forgot. Steamroller Frivola knocked him out, but he knocked out Ricky Glenn. Glenn just has no chin. Let's just be honest. Um, and then knocking out Alves is okay, and then knocking out McKinney is okay. But like these are all fighters that don't have great chins. So like how do you really rate his power? I think I think Dover has probably equal power. Jalen Turner just clearly has a reach advantage. I don't even think it yeah. Ooh, 10 centimeters, holy fuck. It's gonna be rough for Moicano. I do think he's gonna get tagged. I do think there's gonna be some damage. He is coming off a fight where he just got a lot of damage to his face. Bryce Mitchell, Danny Ige style. But um, I do think Moicano, he just will have the ability to just lay on him, and he's shown he has no problem just laying on him. He does, I believe he trains with Gamrot, and Gamrot's really, really good at that as well. So you bet your ass they're training. And Gamrot's also fought Jalen Turner. So, Gamrot's got really good IQ, other than getting rocked every fight, but he's got really good IQ. I think Moicano's just gonna write down some notes and train a lot with Gamrot. I think he just has the formula for Jalen Turner. Like Jalen Turner might be faster because he's younger. He might be younger, so makes him probably more durable. He's been in less wars. But Jalen Turner is just one of these fighters that is genetically gifted, but I don't think will ever be a big name. And by big name, I mean like a top five fighter. Because the issue, right, is that he'll beat someone like Eros Medic when Eros Medic is like the next up and comer. And then Eros Medic just he's been proven just not be that great. Um, Beating Brad Riddell is whatever. It's Brad Riddell. Beating Jamie Malarkey, he'll get okay. Jamie Malarkey's getting a little bit of heat. Jalen Turner sits his ass down. Um, and then he beats, or and then he loses to Gamrot, and Gamrot's good. Don't get me wrong, but Gamrot's like a just barely top five fighter. Like I don't think Gamrot's ever gonna get the belt. I think he's at the level where his chin's not great, and he makes the mistake kind of like Gilbert Burns when Gilbert Burns shot a takedown on JDM. He gets very predictable in his fights, and I think as soon as any top level fighter gets a hold of him, kind of, or not a hold of him, but understands his game plan, it's just like GG for Gamrot. Gamrot just like can't handle it. I think Benil showcased that. I think like even if he fought like a Dan Hooker or anything, I think Dan Hooker beats him. I think there's a lot of guys in the division that just beat Gamrot. Fiziev for sure. Fiziev knocks his ass out in that rematch whenever that happens. But yeah, I just don't think like you can't beat Gamrot, which is fine because Gamrot's good, but you can't beat Hooker. And the reason why he loses this Hooker fight, right, is because Jalen Turner in his own head will doubt himself, and you can just tell by fucking looking at this guy. But I do think his problem as a fighter is that the moment he starts losing, he goes downhill. So he might win the first round, but if he loses the second round, the third round will almost guarantee go to his opponent because he just can't pick up the torch again. Like once he's fumbled the torch, he has no ability to get it back up. That's what I think his problem is. Where I think a guy like Moicano, I think he's battle tested. I think he knows what to do now, and he knows not to be stupid and make stupid fucking mistakes because he's going on a title run. He's getting older, you know. Just got a baby brother, I'm pretty sure. Somehow. These Brazilians, man. Poof. But yeah. So I'm picking Moicano. I think he gets it done by decision or very late round three submission. I just don't think Jalen's that guy anymore, and I think he's proven he's just not that guy. Like yeah, you can be Bobby Green. Bobby Green's 30. I think he was 36 at the time. Maybe he was 37. Man, like Bobby Green doesn't have like a godlike chin. Also, I think it was just one of those things where it landed on his temple and wobbled him, and then he got dropped that way. But yeah, I just don't think Jalen's that guy. Again, I'm looking forward to the fight. I don't want to see Moicano get knocked out. I don't even mind Jalen Turner rising in the rank. It's not like I hate Jalen Turner. Because a lot of people don't like Jalen Turner because he's a genetic freak for the division. I think he's like six. I don't know what 191 meters is, but yeah, I think he's like 6'1", 6'2". It should be illegal and lightweight to be over 6 foot, but he makes it. But I just don't think he has it. And basically a 2-1 record is not great. That's like at this point. you know. Moving on, we have the prelim card. Really excited for this fight, Sadiq Yusuf versus Diego Lopes. I think this fight ends in a finish. However, I will keep it 100%. This fight, I can't even, I can't make heads or tails of this fight. I can't come to the decision. I think Diego Lopes has I think Diego Lopes has a better chance to win. I don't know who's the favorite. I'm assuming Lopez is the favorite, but I think Lopes is going to win. But that's only because I've seen Lopes in tough scenarios. Like with Evloev, we've seen him struggle. And, after you come off a loss to a guy like Evloev, it's like, do you still have it? You know what I mean? Like a lot of the fighters, when they're prospects, they come up and then they get fraud checked, and it's like, do you still have it? Like Sergey Pavlovich, he lost his first fight in the UFC and then rose all the way to like this guy's fighting Jones, or Joe Pfeiffer's going through that right now because he just got fraud checked by Jack Hermanson. So I think this fight is gonna be one of those fights where it'll be round one, and it'll be like, fuck, I don't know who won that round. And then round two goes by, and you're like, shit, I think it's 1-1 or 2-2 either way. And then round three will happen, and someone will get a finish. That's what I think will happen. I think there's going to be a lot of late finishes on this card, to be honest. Because all of these fighters are top tier. So I think Lopes gets it done. I think it might be. I think it's gonna be a situation where Yusuf will get rocked really badly, and Lopes is probably gonna go to the ground with him and finish the submission. And the reason why I think that is mainly because Yusuf was supposed to be like the next Barbosa, and then he fought Barbosa, and Barbosa was like, no, 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 sit your ass down. You know, wicked fight. One of my favorite fights of all time, Yusuf versus Barbosa. Um, but I think it will look like that. But I don't think Lopes is gonna need a wheel kick anymore. Like Edson landed on Yusuf to rock him and then almost get him in a darce. Yusuf was also Barbosa was just like his brain was gone, in that fight, for sure. Like he was wobbled 99% of that fight. So I think Yusuf is probably gonna get rocked by something pretty heavy by Lopez, and then Lopez is going to take him down or try to find like a submission, like standing submission, Shavkat style or something. I think Lopez is definitely that guy to do it. This guy is him. That's the way I see the fight. But I'm not like, if you're on the Sadiq Yusuf side, I'm not going to be like, nah, bullshit. You know what I mean? Every good fighter gets a challenge that they have to push through. And I think Edson Barbosa was a good challenge that's like a good wall to hit, to be like, okay, well, you lost to Barbosa. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like you lose to Pat Sabatini. That would be fucking embarrassing. But anyways, moving up, we have another shit break, so this will be fun. This one I'll predict. I think Holly Holm gets it done because I think Kayla Harrison just has a fucking ego. She's gonna be talking all this shit. Holly Holm's gonna get her back and then fucking lay her ass out. Just rear naked style. Probably. I'm going round two. Round two submission, I think. Holly Holm. I know Holly Holm's not really a finisher anymore. I know holy fuck, she's 42? Jesus Christ. But I do like her grappling style of, I'm gonna lay on you until you make a mistake. And I think she got caught by something. I think by, was it Myra Bueno Silva? I think. It was a Brazilian woman. I remember that. She got caught and something standing. It was like a guillotine or something weird. Um, I just don't think that's gonna happen. I think Kayla Harrison's pretty shit. I think this is like a Ben Askren situation where she's gonna lose like three fights in the UFC and get cut, or like a Kevin Lee or some shit. Personally, that's just the way I see it. Regardless, I don't give a fuck about this fight. Don't ever bet on women's MMA. It's a waste of time. And a good shit break. So then we have Calvin Kattar against Aljamain Sterling. I know I really, 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 really want to go Calvin Kattar on this matchup, but I can't. And the reason why I can't is because of that knee injury. Um, Allen isn't like a bad loss to have, but man, that knee injury really fucked him up. And he's been off for a while, and now he's 36, about to be 37, you know? He's about to be Bobby Green's age. This guy's older than Volk, okay? And we saw what happened to Volk with these young contenders, you know? And Aljo's not a young contender. Um, oh fuck, I want to go Calvin Cater so bad because I'm picturing it in my head, and the way I'm picturing it is Aljo dives for a takedown and Cater just lands like a vicious knee, just right up the middle, because I think Aljo's probably kicking himself in the ass for losing that championship, and I think he's like in his head constantly thinking wrestle, 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 wrestle. I should have wrestled. Why didn't I fucking wrestle? Da da da, and he was making all these excuses like, oh, it's not that easy to just dive for a takedown. No, it's not. You have to set it up. But if you can't set it up in 2 rounds against Sean O'Malley, granted, Sean O'Malley's been proven this guy is him now. But if you can't set up a takedown in 7 minutes, um, like what are you doing? You know what I mean? He's also gonna be shorter here. That's actually surprising. I thought he might have been the same size. Uh, oof. Yeah, you know what? I'm leaning Cater. I think Cater's gonna win. I think it'll be TKO. Um, I want to say round one. I'm making a risky prediction here, but I can just see it in my head. Calvin Cater round one, knee up the middle, knocks out Aljamain Sterling. Um, yeah, that's the way I see the fight going. I just think Aljo's gonna be in his head a lot, and I think Cater's gonna want to try to prove to himself that he's still got it. So I think knee up the middle, Calvin Cater round one. All right, moving on, we have Rakic versus Yuri. I'm gonna be honest, I am a newer MMA fan. I've only been watching for almost 2 years now. But I have done my research. I do my research. I watch a lot of fucking fights. I haven't seen Rakic at all. In terms of like, I haven't watched any full fight of Rakic. I've just seen his highlights and stuff like that. Um, Almost the same with Yuri because Yuri was coming off that shoulder injury. I did obviously watch him fight Pereira. I think this fight, I think I'm gonna lean Yuri, but obviously like this pick is just because I'm biased towards knowing a fighter more than the other one. Like I can sympathize more with Yuri because I've watched Yuri fight where like live, where I haven't really watched Rakic fight live. But I think Yuri's gonna get this done. He's actually gonna be training now. He's only lost once in the UFC, and that was to Pereira. He did get put out cold on his feet, and then he went for a takedown. But I think that's actually a good thing because I think if you run that fight 5 times against Pereira in that same situation where he gets rocked like that, um, I think the ref only stops it like 1 out of the 5 times, and he'll let it go. These refs are retarded nowadays. So I think that'll happen. But I think the main reason why I'm going with Yuri, I didn't mean to do that. Oops. I think the main reason why I'm going with Yuri is because I've seen him get rocked and I've seen him get dropped and I've seen him shoot for legs while being rocked and dropped. You know what I mean? So that means even when he's put out, he'll instantly go back into it, you know? Also, obviously, there's like the 6 submission he had in Glover Teixeira. He had a wicked KO against, what's his name? Dominic Reyes. Um, I think when you fight Yuri, you just have to go under the pretense that, like, if you make a mistake, Yuri will capitalize on it. I'm just kind of worried because he'll take a shot and just, like, nod it and then keep moving. But from what I've seen from Rakic, the little I have seen, just to preface, I just don't see that in Rakic. I think Rakic is a little awkward in his fighting style, but I think Yuri's just more awkward, and I think that's why he wins. And I can trust him. Like, he's battle tested. Getting knocked out by Pereira isn't like, well, this guy got knocked out by Pereira. You know what I mean? No, like, you get knocked out by Pereira. That's just how it goes. You know what I mean? Moving on, we have a shit break being Bo Nickel against Cody Brundage. That's just Bo Nickel round 1 TKO. But what I will say is that, yo, Cody Brundage, if you ever see this, oh, he's 29. I thought he was a little older. If Cody Brundage wants to take any of my advice, um, even though I don't want to pick against Bo Nickel because Bo Nickel's Bo Nickel. He's also ginger. I can't disrespect my brethren. But Cody Brundage, if you watch this, find a way to do what you did to that fucking bum. I don't remember what was his name. He fought recently. Uh, Here, Jacob Malkoon. If you can find a way to get Bo Nickel to like land a back of the head shot and they call it a DQ, hey man, more power to you, brother. You know. Obviously I'm rooting for Bo Nickel. Obviously I think Bo Nickel gets it done. He's the biggest betting favorite in UFC history. Like this is, I don't need to explain that. It's just a shit break. You know he's gonna win. Move on. But hey, Cody Brundage, if you want to get dirty and you want to try to force him to do illegal moves, now's the time. Now's the time. But anyways, moving on. Charles versus Armin. Um, I know why everyone's on. So the people on Oliveira are obviously just like mega Oliveira stands, and they're like Oliveira next champ, everything like that. I understand it, and everyone on Armin's side is basically coming to the conclusion that he's the only guy to give Islam a run for his money other than Volkanovski. Um, the issue I have with Armin though is he got rocked by Joaquim Silva. If you get rocked by Joaquim Silva, I just don't think you have it. I just don't think we've seen it before where other up and comers will get rocked by like unranked no names, you know. But Joaquim Silva's not good. If Joaquim Silva, here's the way I look at it: if Joaquim Silva can't put out Clay Guida, and he almost puts away Armin, as like, bro, Armin was like a what -800, -1100 that fight too. Nah, man. I literally, I will never, ever pick Armin in any of his future fights. And it's not even disrespect to Armin, but if you show me that you have very little chin, um, I just can't trust you. And I know I say that, and I'm picking Charles, and Charles obviously doesn't have the greatest chin. But the thing with Charles is that you see him get knocked down, and people genuinely don't want to engage with Charles. So I think what might happen this fight, this is my prediction, personally. I think Charles gets rocked. I think he will go to his back at some point, and I think Armin's gonna get caught because Armin's gonna think I'm Giga Chad. I can run through this guy. And I think Charles is gonna catch him with something submission wise on the ground on his back. I think we're gonna see like something. Ooh, do I wanna try to think of a Maybe not arm triangle. I think Armin's too smart for that. What's common with these wrestlers? I'm just gonna go submission. I don't know how. I think something like I think a wild submission is coming. That's my prediction. Like not something generic like a rear naked. I think it's gonna be like a fucking. It's gonna be something like a twister or something. I'm not predicting a twister, but like something as wild as a twister. You know what I mean? And then the fight. Sorry, the fight I am waiting for: Justin Gaethje against Max Holloway. I'm picking. I'm picking Justin Gaethje. I am not picking Justin Gaethje, saying that I think Max Holloway's fucked. I'm picking Justin Gaethje because I do think there's gonna be the first time in Max Holloway's career where he gets dropped. I think that will win Justin Gaethje a round or two, and I think Gaethje is gonna chew up Max's legs to the point where Max isn't gonna throw as. I think it's gonna be a situation where round one goes by, Max wins. Round two goes by, Max wins. It might be close. But over the course of these rounds, Gaethje's landing like leg kicks here and there. I think round three, we're gonna see something like Max is gonna get cracks really bad, and I think he's gonna get dropped or almost dropped. I think round four is going to be where you start noticing Max is just like throwing less, and Gaethje's looking a little more tired, so it starts being like a lower pace fight. But I think that's where Justin Gaethje is just going to excel from that point forward, where he's just going to be slightly ahead and slightly ahead. And I think the judges' scorecards are going to be like, you know, it's going to be very, very close. I think it's going to be, what would that be? 48-47. Yeah, I think it'll be 48-47 Justin Gaethje. Maybe it'll be a split because maybe it's a situation where Max was winning the round, but he gets dropped. But I think Max does get dropped at least once in this fight. Um, and I think Justin Gaethje might get dropped once or twice in this fight. You know, it's not like Max actually has pillow hands. I know a lot of people like to say that in the community now. They're actually the same height. That's crazy. Really? Hmm. Interesting. But yeah, I just think Justin Gaethje is going to chew up Max legs and he's going to slow the pace down. Because I think the big thing with Max Holloway is that if you don't start off with leg kicks, if you don't, like Arnold Allen, if Arnold Allen just had a leg kick heavy game plan, I think he beats Max Holloway, but he didn't. He went in thinking he could outbox Max Holloway. But I don't think Gaethje's going to try to do that. I think Gaethje's just going to try to slowly pick him apart, you know? Um, and I think it'll be a decision. 48-47. Either way, because judges can be fucking retarded. Let's just be honest. Judges can be wrong. But I think it'll be a 48-47, and I think it's gonna lean on Justin Gaethje. But I think that's fight of the night, potentially fight of the year. This fight's gonna be fucking sick. I literally can't wait. I actually can't wait. Um, and then we have a shit. No, I'm joking. This one is actually an interesting women's fight. It is. I don't want to get this wrong. Yeah, it's China versus China. I didn't want to say China versus China without, knowing. But yeah, this is China versus China. Very interesting women's fight for once. But I think Wei Li just wins because she's just gonna be slightly ahead. But I'm not like sold on it. You know what I mean? Like this is one of those fights where if I was a gambling addict, I'm just not betting because China versus China, same age. They're identical. Holy fuck. But Wei Li obviously had that knockout loss to Rose Namajunas. I think, right? I'm not mistaking that. I'm pretty sure, right? I think. I'm pretty sure, right? I'm not crazy. She only fought once last year? Damn. Fuck. Wei Li. Yeah, Rose knocked her out here. I then wait. Interesting. Yeah, but yeah, she got knocked out, but that was obviously 3 years ago. She's just been on a tear, and I think she's just one of these women that is like in the next GOAT conversation. You know, I think she's dangerous, so I think this fight actually ends in a finish at some point. But I'm not like 100% sold, that losing to Marina Rodriguez is not the greatest loss. But yeah, I think Whaley gets it done. I think it's gonna be an entertaining fight no matter what happens. But I'm not gonna be surprised if Yan wins. You know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna be like, holy shit, can't believe that. Unless it's like a comeback win, but that's different. Alex Pereira versus Jamal Hill, probably the biggest debate on this entire card, because most of this card are actual 50-50 fights. However, a lot of people are just like fully set on one side. You either have your you're 100% on Figueiredo because he just has the better chin, or you're 100% on Cody Garbrandt because he's on a tear. You're either 100% on Bobby Green because you love Bobby Green's style, or you're 100% on Jim Miller because Bobby Green's suffering from brain damage. Same thing with Moicano. Yuri fans are on Yuri's side. Rakic fans are on Rakic's side. Cater fans are more or less the people who are for the featherweight division, but let's be honest, that's kind of small now. The featherweight division's kind of shit now. And then you're on Aljo's side if you're on the like Aljo's best bantamweight of all time right now. Give Sean O'Malley a few years, okay? But yeah, it's very like you're on one side or the other for this whole thing. But I do think a lot of these fights are 50-50s. Um, Now with Alex versus Jamal, I think it's a round one TKO, Alex Pereira. What I think happens is Jamal is gonna, and I don't want to say this because I really like Jamal. I do really like Jamal. I love him in his interviews. He's one of the deepest voices I've ever heard of. He's a savage for. I know it's a case, and I don't have inside information, but I will say I think Jamal is kind of a savage for beating the shit out of his brother and then his brother calling the police. That's kind of badass. Not gonna lie. So, I love Jamal. I just think he gets knocked out, and I think the reason why he does get knocked out in round one is I think he's gonna make the mistake that Alex Pereira is easy. And the thing with Alex Pereira is that everyone has done that and everyone's been knocked out. The only one who hasn't was Yuri, but um, Yuri just apparently didn't train the whole fight, and he was coming off an injury. Jan Blachowicz, he's just an old man. I think he's almost 40 now. But Jan Blachowicz also said he would stand and bang. He didn't, because he's a bitch, You know, didn't want to prove he had Polish power. And if Jan Blachowicz can't knock out Pereira at elevation, I can't trust that Jamal is going to do it. I will say Alex Pereira doesn't look like he eats any shot very well at all. Obviously, he's been knocked out by Izzy. This is where he just made one major mistake of dropping his hands. I know why he did it. I do blame him for doing it, but Sean Strickland did the same thing, underestimated him. I think Bruno Silva to some extent probably did as well. This guy's a bum. I don't give a fuck about him. But yeah, the thing is that I think Jamal is gonna go in with the mindset of underestimating Alex Pereira, thinking it's easy, and he's gonna make a really like simple mistake, and he's just gonna get caught. And it's gonna be he gets caught, he gets dropped, and then it'll probably be another early stoppage situation because of how he will get dropped. But I think this will probably end in an early stoppage with Alex Pereira landing again, probably that left hook. It's deadly, man. It's deadly. Um, and if there's any rigging in this fight, it would definitely be on Alex Pereira's side. They definitely want Alex Pereira to retain the title. It's better for an Izzy matchup later on. It's better for all this shit. And if he does win at 36, you know, it's better for his legacy. And I don't think it's a bad loss for Jamal to have anyways. But I just think if we're talking about better fighters, I think overall Jamal's a better fighter. I think overall Jamal has a better chin. He's got the better cardio. He's got the better grappling. He's got the better he doesn't have the better credentials anymore, I guess, because Pereira having two belts. But I think Jamal is like a better athlete. But I think Pereira is just like his striking is just such a high level that it doesn't matter. Also, another important thing to note is that it's not like this guy's brain dead when it comes to grappling. I know in the Izzy fight, at least the first time, it looks like he never knew what a takedown was. But I think in his Jan Blachowicz fight, bro, if you watch back that fight, round one, Alex Pereira had such a deep in guillotine that he was literally lifting a 200 and probably 20-pound Jan Blachowicz. He was lifting him off the ground with the leverage of his neck. Like, watch that fight. It was insane. So I just think he's a freak when it comes to his strength. It's just like this human being should be illegal to be made because of how gifted he is in his strength. I think he just has it in him. But yeah, that's my personal take for UFC. Oh shit. 300. Yeah, that's my personal take for all the picks for UFC 300. I thought I'd just get my take in, put it on the internet so it's like known, all my predictions. You know, maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm not. Start making predictions just to have them out there. I do think moving forward with this channel, I'll probably mix in a few gaming videos and a few fighting videos. I have a heavy passion for fighting. I'm addicted to it. It's like my heroin. Um, but I've been playing games for like 90% of my life, so I also kind of want to make just reviews on games and shit. But yeah, this is UFC 300. This is my predictions for UFC 300. Can't wait. Great event. This is before Brendan Allen versus Chris Curtis. Early prediction, I think Brendan Allen gets it done, but you know, I'm not convinced on who wins. I just want someone to win. I don't want like a draw or like a, but yeah. So that's basically my thoughts and where I'm taking the direction of this channel. Yeah, you know, if you like the video, like the video. Um, and yeah,